In today's review, we're going to be unboxing and testing the EcoFlow Delta Mini portable power station and the EcoFlow 110 watt solar panel. These products have been sent to us by EcoFlow for us to review, mainly in comparison to the Jackery products that were reviewed a few weeks ago. I will put a link in the description below to the videos where we reviewed those Jackery products if you want to look back at those and see what we thought to their products. In today's video we will purely be looking at the EcoFlow system. At a later date we will do a side-by-side comparison just to see how one machine fares up to the other. Just to clarify as well, I've not actually researched anything to do with these EcoFlow products since being contacted by them. This will be an unboxing for me to see exactly what's in there and how easy it is to set it all up and what we think to the quality. What we'll do from there is we'll get some charge into the machine and then we'll do some tests, again like we did with the Jackeries, see how it performs running things like laptops, televisions, PlayStations, recharging batteries for things such as cameras and phones. First off then, let's get started with this, the EcoFlow Delta Mini portable power station. Move the solar panel out of the way for now. First off there, I'm assuming that's the main unit. And we appear to have a box which I'm guessing is going to contain things like leads and any adapters and things. We'll come to that shortly though. The only other thing in the box is the packaging and the silica gel to keep it in good condition. Let's start with a little box of tricks. What's in here? We have a user manual and we have a DIY instructions for non-MC4 connector solar panels. MC4 connectors are the standard connectors that you get on solar panels, and having a quick look, it's those ones there, and I'm assuming that's a jack that'll go into this. Again, we've got a cigarette lighter adapter that'll plug into your car, your van, motorhome, boat, etc. that's got a cigarette lighter adapter for charging, and again that'll plug into the unit to charge the unit up. We've also got the standard 3-pin plug that we use for the 240 volt electrics here in the UK, and again with an adapter lead that I'm sure will go into there. There's also a jack lead plug there, not sure what that is, I'm sure we'll find out shortly. So let's open this up and have a look at the main unit itself. Weight wise it seems pretty reasonable. I would estimate maybe 6 or 7 kilograms, something like that, but I will verify that as the video goes on. Right, we appear to have, at a first glance, sort of two ends that seem to do the business, if you like. The front and back seem fairly plain. Let's have a look at that side. That looks to be the outputs. That's what we're going to run things from. So I'm assuming this side might be where we charge it up from. Although, having another look, they seem to be outputs as well. There we go. That took a second to work out. There's a little flap there. That's obviously where we put the leads in to charge up the unit. And then looking at it, we've got two 240 volt outputs where we plug standard things into, like battery chargers, televisions, PlayStations, etc. Again, there's the cigarette lighter adapter type there, I'm sure. Again, that's what's kind of used for charging things like phones and laptops and things. And then we've got a 3 amp jack point there. Again, that's for charging things at 12 volt. On here we've got a screen. Does this come on? Or do we need it plugged in? We've got the power button there. Yeah, and that's come straight on. That's saying we've got 30% charge It's telling me 32, 34, 37 hours. I'm assuming that's what it's estimating it would run things for, or how long it's going to keep charged for. If that's the case, I'm guessing that'll learn as you go along and see what power's coming out of it. We'll look into that in more detail. So here we've got 30% charge, and at the moment we're showing we've got 0 input and 0 output. Obviously there's no charge going in and there's no charge currently coming out. We've got a USB-C point there. That's showing that it'll do 100 watts. We've got 2 USB-A outputs, and we've got a fast charge output. Let's have a look then at the solar panel itself. Straight away I can feel it's a nice texture to it, a nice fabric there, feels good quality. That's the only thing in this box, that solar panel. I can see, is that a zip going round it? Yep, there we go, let's unzip it. Right, so that is purely just a carrying case, that's not actually part of the actual unit. There's a few clips on there, maybe there to stand that up with. That might take a little bit more investigation, perhaps. That's probably one to read the instructions and work that out exactly, but that is quite a nice case that it comes in there, good quality as I say. Again, we've got instructions, something written mainly in a foreign language. Oh no, that's the warranty, so we need to fill that in to make sure we've got our warranty. That'll be the instructions for it. Let's have a look at the actual panel itself then. EcoFlow monocrystal silicon cells inside. So monocrystal are quite good panels for those that aren't familiar with solar panels overall. So we open it up, and this is in 4 pieces, where, as I say, we're not directly relating it to the Jackery units just at the moment, but on the Jackery it's in 2, so this obviously does fold smaller, and I would say overall a slightly bigger panel when opened up. These are the MC4 connectors that I mentioned earlier, so I'm guessing in theory it's going to be relatively easy to connect this to that. Let's have a little go. So let's stand that there, open up that flap. I'm thinking we're going to want these ones to start with, which as I say are the MC4 connectors. And as you plug these in, you can't get them the wrong way around. All solar panels are set up like that, so you've got a male and a female, and obviously there's one on each there and one on each there, so they can only go one way around. You can't get the positive and negative in the wrong way around. So that's those connected. And then that will plug straight into there, and I'm reckoning that should be all connected up, ready to charge. I've just noticed there is a fast and a slow charge option. Again, I'll research that as the video goes on, but in general I would say most of the time you'd want to use the slow charge because that looks after the battery better, but therefore if you're really needing it you can flick it onto the fast charge and it would charge quicker. Let's see if we are getting any input. We're not showing any input there. I'm sure that's all connected up right, but as I'm sure you're aware and you can see, there is no sunshine at the minute, and this panel isn't actually pointing in the direction of the sun anyway. So what I'm going to do is take this inside, we'll get it plugged in, we'll get some more charge into that, and then over the coming week we'll test it using things like our laptop, our television, PlayStation, and charging our batteries, and from there we can see what sort of performance this EcoFlow gives us. We're now just over 2 weeks since we got the machine and did that initial opening of the box and seeing what was in there. You will now see as well, we have actually got a little bit of sunshine, which is quite amazing considering we're now in December. Not very often here in England we get sunshine in December. Just at the minute though, that bit of sunshine isn't making a great deal of difference to charging this machine. But we will come back to that in a minute as we go through the details of what we've found over this last couple of weeks. So let's look at the charging aspect first of all, because obviously before you can actually use the machine, you need to get power into there in the first place. When charging through a normal 240 volt power supply, you've got two options on this machine. You've got the standard slow charge, and then you've got a fast charge, what EcoFlow call the extreme charging system. When charging on the normal slow charge setup, the machine is drawing about 200 watts of power at any given time. And we found it's taking between sort of 5 to 5.5 hours to fully charge the machine when it's completely flat. When using the extreme fast charge setting, it's drawing up to 900 watts of power at any given time. So that actually means it's charging in a little over an hour. We've been sort of tending to find between about an hour and 10 minutes and an hour and 20 minutes. As mentioned earlier though, ideally you don't really want to be using that fast charge on a regular basis. With any battery, the faster you charge it, the less lifespan it's likely to have in the longer term. When it comes to charging by solar, it's been very difficult for us to test. As we've mentioned, we're in the middle of winter and we don't get very much sun at the moment. As you will see, I did work out how to set this up, and basically the outside cover becomes a little frame to connect it all into. It is a little bit fiddly and a little bit sort of time consuming, nothing major though to get it to set up. And one thing I have found is it's very difficult to get the panel to sit perfectly level and straight all the way across, which if you can set it up in the middle of summer with the sun shining directly on it, I'm sure that's not so much of an issue. But this time of year when the sun's fairly low and potentially as it is now off at an angle, it was meaning, for instance, as I set it up a few minutes ago, because of the way the sun was coming in, these panels were getting sunshine, but this one wasn't getting anything. So we were getting very little charge off it. We're talking sort of 10 watts. If I managed to hold it in place and get it directly into the sun, that increased to about 50 watts. So there can be a massive difference there in just trying to get this panel set up exactly how it needs to be. Because of the time of year and the conditions, we've not actually managed to do a complete full charge purely on the solar as it stands at the minute. But when we did have a day or so of nice sunshine, I did fiddle about with it quite a bit and tried to get it into the sun best I could. And we were finding at best we were picking up around 80 watts being drawn in through the panel and put into the machine. So considering the machine itself holds 800 watts of power, that we will be talking around 10 hours, maybe a little bit more, just to allow for any inefficiencies in there, to fully charge that machine using solar. In EcoFlow's range, there is a larger solar panel as well, but you can also substitute any of these for normal solar panels, anything up to a 300 watt maximum power. And using one of those, it will reduce the time down to about a third compared to this 110 watt panel. There is the option to download an app to your mobile phone so that all the data that's currently running through this machine is processed straight onto your phone, so you can monitor remotely either how much charge is coming in or how much power is being taken out. I will say I've not used that app for two reasons. First of all, I'm a bit of a technophobe. I don't understand all this modern technology. And secondly, personally, I think that's a bit over the top, because if you're not there, there's not a great deal you can do about it anyway. Similar to the setup we have on our boat, we could have that set up so that all the inverter and the charging facilities are all sent straight to my phone to tell me exactly what it's doing. But if I'm not at my boat, I can't do anything about it anyway. But the option is there. If you're a bit more into technology and you want to monitor these things, you can link the EcoFlow to your phone so you can access the information off that. Not only are these sort of products ideal as an emergency backup, for instance if you were to have a sudden power cut, you can always revert to using one of these. This particular sort of machine also has what's called an emergency power supply set up to it. So what that means is if you've got a critical piece of equipment that you don't want to turn off should there be a power cut, you plug this into the wall, plug that piece of equipment into this, And then during the normal time, your piece of equipment is running direct from the main supply. However, if that main supply trips out, within 30 milliseconds, this cuts in and the inverter starts providing power to your machine to keep a continuous run, so nothing gets turned off or any memory lost from computers, etc. So now let's turn our attention to what we found we can actually run off it and what capabilities it's got for running different items, charging different batteries. The unit holds 882 watts of power with a 1400 watt pure sine wave inverter, meaning it can run products up to 1400 watts with a surge protection on there for as they kick in, it allows that little bit more power. And a little trick up its sleeve that these EcoFlow products have is it's what's called an X boost facility. And when using it on that X boost, you can actually power machines up to 2200 watts of continuous power. During these couple of weeks then, we've been using it for various different things around the boat just to see how well it does cope. The first thing that we tried using it for was to run a television and a PlayStation. We find when they're both turned on, they're pulling just over 100 watts of power at any given time. And the unit itself lasted for around 5.5 hours from completely full to being completely empty. You might think straight away, well, just over 100 watts of power and that holds 882 watts. Surely it should run for about 8 hours. But you do have to bear in mind, with any piece of machinery, there are inefficiencies as it's transferring the power around. We did for around 3 days use it purely and simply just to charge our phones. That was day and night to keep those phones topped up. And at that we were charging 2 phones, and we found that all it took out of the machine was 26% of its capacity. And it would be a similar story with things like either cameras or drone batteries, that are things that draw a small amount of power, but you might want to charge them up quite often. The main thing we have been using this unit for though is to keep our laptop going. And we use our laptop quite a bit, because obviously we watch things on YouTube, we edit videos for YouTube, and we upload stuff onto YouTube. We are a bit YouTube mad really, I suppose. We did find it a little bit tricky to work out just how much charge we're getting from this into our laptop in effect, but we reckon we're getting around 6 to 8 full charges of our laptop from one full charge on that. It's difficult to work out because obviously some of the time we've got the laptop on and we're using it and charging it at the same time. Some of the time the laptop might be turned off and purely and simply charging. But we reckon 6 to 8 full charges of our laptop is somewhere about right. So to sum up, what are the pros and cons of the EcoFlow portable power station? I'll start with the solar panel. I like how it's all packaged, it all looks very nice, it's got a real good quality feel to it. And it obviously does the job it's supposed to do. Couple of negatives though that I'm not so keen on. I'm not so keen on how it all sort of stands up and you have to clip things together to hold it in place. And I'm not overly keen on the way we have to clip all these extra wires in. I'm not sure why they couldn't just put the standard connectors straight onto there that go into the unit. It's just a little bit more faffing around. I suppose it's kind of done like that because then it is easier to use normal standard solar panels if you wish to. But I think it'd be a bit less cumbersome if it was just a standard cable on there that plugs straight into that side. When we look at the unit itself then, it's a very well put together package. It's very robust. It actually weighs slightly over 10 kilograms, which when I first unboxed it, I thought it was perhaps sort of around 7, I think it was, but it's actually just over 10 kilograms. It's obviously not the sort of thing you'd really want to put in a backpack and be carrying around all day, but if you're moving it around in such as a motorhome, a car, a boat, etc., the 10 kilograms is perfectly fine. And as you can see, it's got an handle on each side, so again, nice and easy to move. The display that you read things from is very clear, dead easy to understand, no confusion there. It shows you how much power's currently in it, what power's going in, what power's coming out, and it kind of gives you an estimate as to how long it thinks it's going to take to either charge up or discharge, depending on what you're doing with it at the time. So a very simple machine to use. All the controls and dials and things like that are all very clear, very easy to understand. Not really a great deal you can go wrong with. You can't put things in the wrong place, you can't put the charge cables in where they shouldn't be, etc. And it's very obvious where you're putting cables when you're wanting to draw that power back home. Overall, EcoFlow do have a range of products available. This is kind of about mid-range. It's not one of the smallest that they do, and obviously likewise it's not one of the largest, most powerful ones either. It's probably therefore worth a little bit of research and a bit of a power audit to see what you're actually needing to power and how you're going to actually charge it before working out which machine would be the correct one for you. As a final point, I will clarify, EcoFlow did send us this machine and the solar panel free of charge for us to test and review. However, there are no caveats with that. They don't send it on the basis we're going to do a good review on it or point out any particular things. They simply send us the machine, we unbox it and test it as we see fit. I will also point out, with any of the reviews that I do, I'm not here to say either, yes, this is a great product, go and buy it, or this is a rubbish product, don't waste your money on it. What I do is I see it as I've unboxed it and tested it, I explain what I've found, and from there you can hopefully make your decision as to whether this product is suitable for your needs. Thanks for watching then, folks.